When did you realize you married the wrong person? We were in the bathroom getting showered and dressed for my brother's wedding. I was in the best shape of my life at the time, feeling good about myself, and I thought I looked good in that suit. She was finishing her makeup, and I remarked at how beautiful she looked. I waited for her to say something nice in reply, but she didn't, and it just hit me. I couldn't remember a single time that she complimented me on my appearance. So I said that to her. I said, "You know, I always tell you how beautiful you are and how attracted to you I am, but I never recall you ever saying that I look good or that I look handsome." She stopped applying her mascara long enough to dismissively roll her eyes at me. So I made the mistake of asking her, "Do you even find me attractive?" And she flatly said, "No." I asked, "Why did you marry me then?" And she said, "I didn't think it was important at the time." But here's the thing that made it even worse. This wasn't just about that moment. As I stood there processing what she'd just said, memories started flooding back. All those times I'd bought her flowers and she'd barely acknowledged them. All those date nights where I'd put effort into looking nice and she'd never notice. All those moments where I'd reach for her hand and she'd pull away. I remembered our wedding day, how I told her she was the most beautiful bride I'd ever seen, and she'd just said thanks and walked away to talk to her friends. I remembered our honeymoon, how I'd tried to be romantic and she'd acted like it was an inconvenience. I remembered last month when I'd lost 20 pounds and asked if she noticed, and she'd said she hadn't been paying attention. The worst part was realizing that this conversation we were having wasn't new. I'd brought up feeling unappreciated before, multiple times over our 3-year marriage. Each time she'd dismiss it as me being needy or insecure. She'd turn it around and make it about how I was being too sensitive, how I needed too much validation. "You're being dramatic," she'd always say. "Not everyone needs constant compliments to feel good about themselves." But standing there in that bathroom, getting ready for my brother's wedding, where I'd have to watch two people who actually loved each other exchange vows, I realized she was wrong. It wasn't about needing constant validation. It was about basic affection and attraction in a marriage. I thought about my brother and his fiancée, how they looked at each other like they couldn't believe their luck, how they'd randomly tell each other they looked good, how they'd hold hands without thinking about it, how they'd light up when the other person walked into a room. I thought about my parents, married 35 years, and how my dad still whistled when my mom got dressed up, how my mom would straighten my dad's tie and tell him he was handsome, how they'd been doing that for as long as I could remember. That's when I realized what I'd been missing. It wasn't just compliments, it was desire. She didn't desire me, she never had. I was just convenient, safe, the guy who paid half the bills and didn't cause problems. I didn't think it was important at the time, she'd said, but attraction, desire, actually wanting your partner, how could that not be important? How do you marry someone you don't even find attractive? I looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. I was wearing a tailored navy suit that fit perfectly. I'd been working out for months, eating right, taking care of myself. I looked good. I knew I looked good, but the person who was supposed to think so most in the world had just told me she never had. I never felt so ugly and unloved, and it hurt even more when I had been feeling so good about myself for once in my life 30 seconds earlier.